Greetings, groovy people. This is the self-proclaimed Blue Dragon, and this Friday video is not going to have a Word of Wednesday. This is part 2 of the Rock Lobster video. This audio that I'm recording now is newly introduced because I did decide to split the video into 2. Oops, I hit a button. I'm so unprofessional. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm picking up right where I left off last week, which is starting up with painting the actual rock. So enjoy the video, you guys, and thank you for joining in. Okay, you guys, I've cleaned off kind of my workspace. Got all these shavings and stuff. I know, okay, so I already decided which rock I wanted to use. I found these I live in a townhouse in like an apartment complex, and when the guys were mowing, this one was knocked loose. These two I think I found when I dug up and had a raised garden that I'm sure I wasn't supposed to have, but I did it anyway. Nobody complained, and I've cleaned it up. It's all ready to go. For whoever's next. I probably should scatter some seeds on it, but stuff's already starting to grow over the nicer dirt. But yeah, I found these, and what I did first was I soaked them, and I just soaked them in like regular hand soap, like for the bathroom, soft soap. And then I scrubbed them, and I scrubbed them as clean as I care to get them, because the paints that I'm going to use, first off, it's what every art professor has told me not to do. I am combining different brands because I'm not rich, and I've gathered like a collection of old acrylics over the years, because I prefer acrylics to, I would much rather use an acrylic paint than oil paints at this point in my life, because you don't have to wear a gas mask when you're painting with these. You don't have to, I mean, it should be a little bit not elevated, good God, what am I thinking? There should be airflow where you're at, but it's, for me, I just prefer the acrylics. You know, the other thing that I do that you're not supposed to do is a lot of times I will use an air dryer, a hair dryer, to dry the acrylic paints. I guess these are mostly rules for when you're painting on canvas, and probably when you're painting on rocks. And to be honest, I probably should have primed this. Maybe I will prime this. But I'm mixing brands, and I'm doing things. I'm not a professional. I'm just doing what is cheap and what I have. So the colors that I'm going to be using today, I wanted this to be a lot like the cover of the B-52's album one of the B-52 albums that I like, which is like bright yellow in the background, and they look like they're from the 60s or something like that. So the background is going to be this cadmium yellow. It's medium. I'm not sure. I think that means it's like medium opacity. Oh no, this is opaque. This is straight opaque. Good. That must be medium. Medium is the tint, or the shade of shadow. I can't talk. I'm going for the lobster itself. I'm going to use this Windsor blue. This is all stuff that I've had since college, so it's older than heck. But if the caps have been tight, they still feel liquidy. They still feel safe. So they should be okay. But the Windsor blue, I like that color for the lobster. And then I'm going to use a teeny tiny bit of red. This is Namphal Crimson. Single pigment. I don't see the opacity on this, but I'm just going to probably dot it for the eyeball. And if I feel like it, I probably will use this Mars Black to outline the image. I have a lot more Mars Black. And then I'm going to use, I've had this forever, white. Just white acrylic craft paint. Yeah, you are not supposed. I do this in paintings all the time, but I mean, when I did paintings, I don't do it so much anymore because I don't paint very much. But yeah, I use craft paints because that's all I could afford, and it worked okay. The paintings that I have look okay. You know, I think it was either Edvard Munch, or it might have been Leonardo. Totally different art times. eras, periods. It may possibly have even been Van Gogh, but one of them would like experiment all the time, and like they put sand in it and they'd put this in it or they do that, and they would like experiment, and like that's why a lot of it must have been either Munch or Leonardo, because Leonardo, a lot of his paintings, although they are beautiful, a lot of them have to be restored more often. I think it was him. I could be wrong, but I'm going to use this rock while I babble. But he's the one, him or Munch. I know Munch also did a lot of experimenting. I went to an art show of his in Chicago, not of his, but they did a show of his up in Chicago not too long ago. And he did several versions of the Scream, apparently. It wasn't just that one. There's been several versions, and one or two of them have been stolen several times and then returned. I don't know if they're finding the art thief, or if the art thief is just practicing, folks. I don't know what's going on there, but I can't remember what country, if it's Sweden or Norway. It's one of those European countries. Might have even been Denmark. I can't remember. But they have a lot of his paintings, and he would paint on cardboard and all kinds of things. So, you know, a lot of people, not a lot of people, but quite a few people think that, oh, all these expensive products are what you need to create good art. And while the expensive products are what last for a long time, I mean, they are expensive for a reason. And I'm not knocking them. Honey, the door. Honey.
What?
Someone's knocking on the door, honey. I'm sorry, I'm recording or I'd get up.
It's alright.
I'm just being a lazy bum. But yeah, the higher quality, so that they're like museum quality and they won't fade like in light. I mean, the products are good. There's a reason why they have the more expensive products, so I'm not knocking them. But a lot of times people won't even start on art because they're like, well, I don't have this, so I can't do it. And it's like, no, you can use cheaper products. It's just, you know, it just might not last a billion years. So, I mean, and now, you know, people, they use Copics, they use all these markers, and I think unless you spray something on them, they will fade in the light. So, yeah, I'm just gonna paint both sides. So, I mean, it just depends on what you plan on doing. If you're like me and you're gonna scan in pictures, really the quality of the product isn't, unless it's really messing up. Or maybe it's just because I'm gonna have to bleep this, but I'm the half-ass queen. Probably inherited that from my dad, because he did everything. Fixing things in the house, but I mean, it's good enough is my tagline. If my epitaph is either going to read good enough, or there's always one last dish, or there's always one more dish. This is like every time I think I've got the dishes done, there's always one more dish that's comes out of the woodwork. I don't know from where. We're slobs. Leave them all. We're not really that big of slobs. We're slobs, but there are people worse than us, so it makes it okay. As long as you can compare yourself to someone else, that's all that matters. That is a joke. I'm joking. I'm not serious when I say that. But yeah, so my whole time I was in college, unless I was in class, I didn't do this. If I was in class, I wasn't about to let them know that I mixed things and did stuff that I wasn't supposed to. Oh, I have a thing of water here. My cup. See, look how cheap this is. I just reuse this cup over and over again. I did wash this out fairly well because I had a lot of watercolor residue in there from my watercolor paint, but I'm gonna let that dry. We're gonna let this rock dry a bit, and maybe I should just stop talking about when I'm transitioning. I don't know. Anyway, we'll let that dry, and we'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I think this is dry enough to work with. It's still a little wet, and I'll have to make some more, put some more layers on that side, but I'm gonna be working in the middle here, so it's okay. It's not completely covered. I use the same old synthetic brushes that I've had since college. You might want to use some newer brushes, but I don't think these were too expensive. And I prefer synthetic. I know a lot of people prefer the sable and mink, but I'm not a professional artist, and I don't see a point in using something if I can get by with the synthetic. I'm gonna make a lot of weird noises. So I'm just gonna block it out right now. Maybe I should have just used a smaller brush. I don't know, I'm sorry I'm not talking so much right now. Sometimes it's hard to think and move your hand at the same time and talk. If you're me. That's the sound that it makes. I don't even know. Okay, I guess I'm gonna have to waste a little bit of that. Well, I like to use the paint that's in the lid sometimes. Oh, did I get that on there? No, it's okay. It's okay. I hope my head's not getting in where the camera is. This is such a beautiful color blue. If you hadn't noticed, blue is my favorite color. But I'm also making the lobster blue because most lobsters, at least the ones, you know, they're blue or kind of a dark black, dark blue kind of color. I probably should have made it more like a rock. Oh, you know what? Whenever I do this, I will. Yeah. Oh, here I'm using my reference here. You can't see it, but whenever I do this for the computer graphic and I ink it, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make it. I'm gonna make it look more like it's transitioning from a rock, like I did with the paper tigers transitioning. I gotta grab some more. Now I just talked about sable brushes and how I don't like them. I do have a sable brush in here. I was taking some classes as a student at large for grad school. I was thinking of going to grad school, but I didn't apply because I knew I couldn't cut it. Let's just put it that way. I am not made for the art world. I'm not good enough to stand up against the big players. Oh, I have a lot of kind of good ideas. My professor liked some of my stuff, but I'm just too all over the place, and you really have to have a focus and more talent. She was very tactful. But I took student at large classes because she thought that I could improve. And they were graduate level classes that I was taking, and I could do it for free because I was working for the university, and that's one of the perks they hadn't taken from us yet. But I'm sorry. Ooh. I'm not. I liked the university that I worked at. Don't get me wrong. I especially liked a lot of the students. It was a very tumultuous time, and let me tell you, secretaries, especially since they weren't unionized, they don't get the proper pay that they deserve, especially when your state's in kind of a mess and it's a state university. I mean, so I understand why they had problems with money, but at the same time, you can't blame the workers, especially the ones who do a lot of the stuff that keeps the gears moving, keeps it greased. But she gave me she was really cool, and none of the other, there was a, she gave everyone with the, you have to pay a certain amount for products, for supplies, and everybody got one of those fabled brushes, and that's why I have one. It's not that I wanted it, but I wasn't gonna say no to something free either. Somebody else would probably have more stringent morals than I. I do care about not using animal products, but at the same time, I needed that. If I was still thinking that if I could take a couple classes, I would go ahead and get my master's. But then plans changed when my partner and I started dating seriously, and I ended up moving. Anyway, so it didn't even, I decided that at this point in time, I'm not even gonna try for grad school. Yeah, so I'm just blocking out the color right now. I don't even think, you know, I might not use black to do the outlines. I might try to do something a little more arty. I don't know. Let's do. These are almost. Somebody got the idea for Pet Rock back in like the 70s or 80s, and people jumped for it. They loved the Pet Rock idea. That was a fad for a while. And then I was on vacation somewhere, and I thought it was the cutest thing. I may have gotten it for like my cousin or my nephew or someone, and it was like a little box filled with tiny rocks that had been colored and either given googly eyes or eyes were painted on it, and it said rock concert. I'm one of those people who wasted some money on that, but you know, it looked hand painted, it didn't look mass produced, so I was like, you know what, I mean, not that I have anything against mass produced, but I feel a lot less guilty, a lot less like I'm being swindled if I'm getting something silly like that from an actual artist rather than something that's been stamped and printed or whatever. Not to say that the people who create that, I know a lot of those are handmade abroad, and it's not to say they don't have any talent. They certainly do. They certainly aren't paid very well for that talent, and that's kind of why I don't know. I don't know if I'm helping or not. This is I can't write Rock Lobster. I've done that like 3 times now. I'm almost getting as bad as how many times they played Immigrant Song in Ragnarok. I feel like, my personal opinion, here's the question of the week. In Thor Ragnarok, should they have kept playing Immigrant Song? One friend of ours said, oh, it's the rule of 3. You have to play it 3 times. In my opinion, I think a song of that caliber, of that epicness, should have been saved for the final hardcore battle, because that was when it would pack the most punch. Not using it right at the beginning. I mean, I know they probably paid a lot of money for it, so they wanted to get their money's worth out of it, but to me that just kind of cheapened it a bit, and I feel they should have just saved it for that last battle, that epic battle. I thought that movie was really funny. Here's something else you're not supposed to do, mixing water with your acrylics. That's a no-no. I think that it encourages it to crack or something like that, but this is on a rock that I'm gonna shellac, or not shellac, but put some kind of coating on and leave in a park for someone, so I don't think I need to worry about the quality of the paint. Okay, so there's the outline of it. Oh, I just put some water lines here at the bottom. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. Oh shit! I was gonna paint it yellow on the background. Oh crap! Nothing is effed. It's okay. God, this is why I don't do primers, because I'm too airheaded. I can't multitask, you guys. Not at all. I used to be able to do it, but anymore. Where is my mind? I don't know, it's gone. It's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. Sorry. Like a child. I probably should wait until the blue dries so that I don't get green. But I'm just gonna do this with abandon. Do this with abandon? What's the saying? The rock was all yellow. It started white. I've run out of things to say, so this happens quite often, especially when I was at work. I'd run out of things to say, so then I'd just make random noises, which I'm sure was annoying, so annoying. My mom used to call my cousin and I Babylon 5, because all we did was Babylon. We should have been on that show. I don't think they just Babylon. I didn't watch Babylon 5. Any Babylon 5 fans out there? I watched The Next Generation, Star Trek. I think they were both by that Gene dude. But I used to watch The Next Generation. I had the hots for Data and Geordi. Oh my god, because LeVar Burton was also on. I had a crush on anyone who was on PBS and I grew up with. So Ringo Starr, there's your answer. That's why him and George Carlin, all these old men. LeVar Burton on Reading Rainbow, I thought he was so hot. And then later when I was in 5th grade, Mom figured I was old enough. I think we were having our Civil War unit, so I went to a small school and they didn't even have us reading classics, to be honest. Like, I think we read Romeo and Juliet, and the first time I read an actual classic was in an extra English class, which was the American Dream class, and we read Huckleberry Finn. So I was like sophomore year of high school before we were made to read a classic. I mean, we read books. We read, like, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, but anyway, my mom realized very early on she had to supplement our education, and so when I was in 5th grade and we were having our Civil War unit, she also had me watch the Roots miniseries, the TV series that had LeVar Burton playing Kunda Kente? Is that his name? If I'm saying that wrong, it's been years. It's been since 5th grade. And I'm in my mid-30s now, so please forgive me. And I can't pronounce things, you know, whenever I've been through this the whole video. That's the topic of the video, how bad my pronunciation is. But, oh yeah, I really liked LeVar Burton. So when we were watching Next Generation, he was one of my favorites. I really liked Spock, because we watched we would sometimes watch the old Star Trek that Mom grew up with, because she was young in the 60s. And of course I had a crush on Spock, and I kind of liked, what's the girl's name? Ula? I didn't watch enough of it to even know anyone's name, so I'm not even gonna pretend to be a Star Wars or Star Trek nerd. My dude friend he loved Star Trek. I mean, he's more of a D&D fan than he is. I mean, he has an appreciation for Star Trek. Yeah. I think he watched it with his dad. His parents are just a little bit younger than mine. Mine were born in the early 50s. My dad was born in 51. And I'm not going to say when my mom was born because she'd have a stroke. You can't tell. She was like 39 for like, I'm just going to paint over this because that's crappy looking anyway. I can do another layer of that. But, oh my god, like, I remember growing up, she was 39 for several years in a row. And it didn't dawn on me that I was saying she was 39 every year. I was like, oh, it finally dawned on me. Math was never my strong point. Neither are numbers, or just general going in order. Just kidding, I can count. when we were growing up, we were country kids. We all lived on the same property, my cousins and I, and obviously my sister. And we would go for walks a lot of times, or we'd always have to drive to town, so you're on like country roads, and we had a pond on our property. It was a couple acres. I can't remember how many acres it is or was. But my cousins and I were with my aunt, and we were driving home from the store one day, and there was this turtle in the middle of the road, and it had already been hit once, so we felt so bad for her, and we guilt-tripped her into stopping on this country road to pick up the turtle. And we got him home and everything, and his head was all in his, he didn't bring his head out of his shell. He was alive, or he or she, or it, whatever, was alive. And when my dad got there to help us get the turtle out, he was so irritated because apparently we'd picked up the snapping turtle, and we were little kids, and it could have broken our fingers or something, but we just felt so bad for the snapping turtle, so we ended up putting it in the bucket and taking it out to our pond, and we named him or her Garcia, like the Grateful Dead, like Jerry Garcia, and because they had like kind of turtle. I mean, they had the dead bears, and then they had like the stuff that our Crumb did. I think it was our Crumb who did the Crazy Charlie with the ice cream cone, on his head, and then the Keep on Truckin' with the guys stepping forward. But someone had also, at least in the 90s, I don't know, maybe they had turtles in the 60s, or 70s. Well, they were a band, they kept recording on into the 80s, so at some point in time, they also acquired like a kind of turtle logo kind of design. And so that's why we ended up naming the turtle Garcia. And that's related to this video because they live in the water like lobsters and have shells, not like lobsters. I don't know what their shell. Lobsters, I think, have chitin. I'm going to show my ignorance here. I don't know anything. I don't know why I try to pretend like I know anything. Oh, look at me schooling people and my information. It's all misinformation. Let me teach you some words I don't know how to pronounce or use. I don't know, the Word of Wednesday thing, it's kind of nice. It's not really just for, like, these videos for, like, people's benefits. It's really more for my benefit, so that I can look up these words and figure out what the heck some of them mean. So it's really more of a learning experience for me. Please don't think that I'm trying to be condescending, or that I think others out there need to raise their vocabulary, although we all could use some of the cool words that exist that we don't use. But I just like to do that. Okay, yeah, see that? I think I salvaged it. There we go. It's a bright yellow rock. How am I going to get to the other side? I'm not going to paint the backside in this video. I will just worry about that later. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do right now. How should I outline this, you guys? I have to make sure that this... It's so hard to get off. I'm one of these people, I don't even try. If it's at all hard to get off, I immediately grab something to help me get the lid off of things. I'm not even playing. When I was working at Lincoln Home in the winter before we got really tight on security, on internet security, in the winter it wasn't very busy. We were supposed to be reading about Lincoln most of the time. But every now and then, if there was no one there to watch us, I would sometimes go to this website called freerice.com, and I'm going to advertise it and put a link down in the description. We were talking about, like, you know, words and how I wanted to better my vocabulary, and I go there every now and then. I really ought to go there more often. Actually, now that I do this Word of Wednesday thing, I really gotta revisit that. But the nice thing about it is you, I guess it has ads on it, and so when you go to freerice.com, you can do words, or you can do math, or you can do, I think there's a variety of different subjects you can choose, but it's kind of like a quiz. And you answer and then you progress in your levels, and it's kind of like a game, almost like Word Munchers or Number Munchers or whatever, only there's no little monster eating the things. And you can learn, like, they will, if you get a word wrong, they will definitely have that word, they tell you what the actual meaning is, and then they'll have the word reoccur later on. I will put a little blob of yellow on there. And so through repetition of failing, I've actually learned the meaning of a couple new words from that website. And then the reason why it's called freerice.com, free rice, is because as you progress and the more you get correct, you earn like a certain amount of grains of rice, and then by the end of whenever you're done playing, they're going to donate, so they say, they donate that many grains of rice or that many pounds of rice or whatever to people in need who are in food deserts or living in places where they don't have access to a lot of food, or poverty, you know. So it's a really good cause, and you can better your vocabulary or your math skills or whatever. Oh no, I didn't mean to. I'm not done with that. What am I doing? So I do highly recommend that. I hope there hasn't been like some scam. Every time someone recommends something, I see that people like retracting their recommendation because some kind of scandal comes out. I don't think there has been any scandal with them. I hope not. Because I really like that website. It makes me feel smart, and then it makes me feel stupid. Because I don't know the words. But then I feel like I learned the words, and then I forget the words. So you really gotta use it or lose it. Use it or you lose it. I need to let this dry a little bit. See, this is where I get kind of impatient. The one big problem that I personally have with acrylics is that it does take a while to dry, and you can't thin it or thick. You can't use thicker or thinner. That doesn't do anything. Like with oil painting, you know, thicker or thinner oil will stick to a thinner paint or whatever. So you can layer things while it's wet, and if you're doing the Bob Ross technique, it's supposed to be wet on wet. Oh, I might put a little music note. I'm just kind of messing around, adding some more paint. I'll wait for that to dry. But yeah, the one big pain in the butt about acrylics is that it takes a while to dry. Let's go on the back side. Maybe I won't paint the bottom, but maybe I'll paint the back side a little bit. I figured out what my little camera is. I call it a knockoff GoPro. I think it's a Logitech. I mean, it actually has pretty good visual quality. This is not a sponsored video, obviously. I'm just trying to find things to babble about. I'm real good at talking. That was something that makes a real good waitress, because my first job ever was being a waitress at Sgt. Pepper's Cafe. Sgt. Pepper's Cafe in Springfield. Commercial drove people nuts because they played it all the time. But one of the things that makes a really good waitress and a really good tour guide, and I would even argue a really good secretary, is being able to hold conversations with total strangers. I know a lot of people don't like small talk, but when you're a park guide or even if you're a waitress, you gotta be able to talk to people, and sometimes that's why I think that I sound like I know a lot of things, but I really just know a lot of general information about a lot of different subjects. And then if you try to grill me on anything, I don't know the details of anything. Well, some things I do. I know when Ringo Starr farted in like 1965 on the last tour. Oh, no, not the last tour. The second to the last tour. Just kidding. I don't know that. But those are things that you obsess over. It's just fascinating how, like, kids, when they obsess over something, there's something they like dinosaurs, or in my nephew's case, cars. He loves cars. And that kid, he knows every car that's ever been invented, from, like, the days of the Model Ts to like, international cars, because he plays all those Gran Turismos, and there's one that begins with an F, I think. I can't remember, but it's interesting when kids, sometimes it'll be dinosaurs. They'll be so obsessed with dinosaurs, and they'll know everything there is to know about dinosaurs because they read up on it, and it's like, I miss that about being a kid, because I wouldn't want to say I wasted it all on just obsessing over one band. I do have a lot of music knowledge, I guess, that I've garnered over the years. I know a lot of random facts. I feel like I should go on, not Jeopardy, because those are too smart for me, but I feel like I should go on some kind of trivia game show. Of course, then when you need the information most, like we did a trivia night at for some kind of special event, the proceeds were going to go to something, all the money earned from, and then you would, like, third place won peanuts, which is what we won. We got third place at this trivia contest, and then there was like a first place and second place prize. But like when you need that information most, like I'd known that crocuses, that flower, that's where the sassafras, or not sassafras, saffron's the stamen, I think. That's where they get saffron rice, anyhow. Is from this flower, crocus, and I just learned it like the week before. I can't remember, someone had told me about it at work or something like that. And then we had the trivia night. I was like, oh yeah, I know this, and I just drew a total blank. And of course, after we were told the answer, then I was like, oh, duh. So it's like, yeah, whenever you need the information, it never floats. And I'm just a wealth of useless information. I never have the information when you need it. So, but actually, we did pretty good. Out of like 40 some odd groups, we got third place. So I think that's not too bad. And then we got like a life supply of peanuts. I mean, we ate a lot of them. I gave Dad an entire bag for Christmas because he likes different nuts. He likes to shell them. Always sunflower seeds or pistachios or peanuts. Something that he can mess with, because he used to be a smoker, and I guess he liked doing things with his hands, so we'd get him stuff like that to help him. And then I was able to like make some fresh pad thai with some fresh roasted I don't know how fresh they were, but some roasted peanuts. It's got to dry some more. I don't know if I can do anything else with this yet. What do you guys think? Maybe I should do some white. Then it might blend enough that it'll be like a light color. That would be kind of cool, I think. I got these out. What am I going to use these? Oh, look, it matches. Yeah, this is a little more neon. Matchy, matchy. Come on out. I'm gonna use ya. Just kidding. I don't even know what the heck that was. Let's just use the lid. I like to use the lid. This is not this cardboard, it's a good thing I get a lot of these, because this one's going to be designated for art stuff in the future. It's really hard to come at it. The drawing looks so much better. Another thing I'm not too particularly fond of when it comes to painting is how you can't put your hand down. It's nice to have an easel. This is not going to work on an easel. How do I want to do this? I think that's going to be I'm going to steady my hand. Oh, I'm so nervous. I mean, yeah, I guess to a degree I had to worry about my hand touching the ink, but I go from left to right, and this rock has wet places. So normally if I'm going left to right, because I'm right-handed, that doesn't usually matter if I put my hand down, although the oil sometimes will inhibit the ink from sticking, but usually it's not too big of a problem. I can fix it in like Photoshop or something like that. Or go back over it. If I'm not feeling lazy, I'll go back over it. Just depends on how I feel. How big of a hurry I'm in. I'm gonna come back and I'll do a little bit more blue. It's okay if this becomes a little mixed and is light blue, because that's actually kind of a cool effect, I think, in my humble opinion. I don't want it to be such a hard line. Okay, so the shell definitely goes over the legs, and we've got, how do we want to do this? Because that leg is The audio hasn't gone, I'm just thinking. It happens from time to time, once in a blue moon. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll do that, and then I'll do another layer of blue. We need to make some antenna. Oh, is that the antenna? Oh, no, that's not that. Is that the antenna? Oh, no. Oh, no. This is horrible. I feel like every time I do one of these videos, like the art thing, well, every time I've done one of these. Well, not the art with me, I've done so much stuff, but whenever I do these live videos that are no longer live when I upload them, I feel like I do a terrible job. We were on the river this weekend. This kid kept finding these crawdads and holding them up, this little boy. It's like, you want to pet it? I was like, sure. Poor little crawdad just wanted to go. He's like, can I go back to what I was doing? I don't like being exposed. I'm gonna crawl under my hole. It's gonna be a Trent Reznor song. Crawl in my hole, dead in my soul. I don't know. Go away, go away. Go away. Sorry, there's a little fruit fly. I don't need to outline that. Oh, well, I'm gonna do it. No, I'm not. I'm not gonna do that. Hey, Jack, you sleeping down there, huh? God, this video is gonna be long. Maybe I will split it into two. I don't know. I don't know anything. I think I might. Maybe because I've already got the audio with this, I can make 2 videos and I'll put one up on Friday. And then it's not going to be nearly the same amount of... Like, I got really behind from doing the 2 Pride Month videos. I barely got last week's video out. Usually I do it a week in advance, but I've been editing and had a whole bunch of stuff to do, so I've gotten backlogged even worse than I was. But this is already, you know, the audio I'm already recording with it, so... I mean, maybe I could just go ahead and split this into 2, because this is kind of long. I don't think I'll keep anyone's attention span with an hour-long video. Holy crap. I would edit out the visual, but I'm scared to mess it up. So yeah, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go back in here and fill in a little bit more color so that the line's not too big, but that it still does have that line. I never work in reverse like that. I very rarely... I think I tried it out with this mermaid video that I did for Mermaid, for my patrons. And I sell the sticker of that on my Redbubble, and when I go to cons I'm going to be selling stickers of that and prints. But I did it for free for those, well, not for free, but it was an incentive on my Patreon. That was the wallpaper that they get for being at that level. But even then I did the color first just as a, when I was testing color combinations with my Copics. So this is something I don't usually do. Filling in the dark first, and or filling in the color first, and then going back with the outline. I feel I would have been much more successful and only had to do it once if this was pen and paper, but it's good to work, you know, to get out of your element. You're out of your element, Tawny. It's good to get out of your element and try something new, because then you don't know how bad you are at something. But also, you know, you learn if there's some new thing that you actually like, and you can work at getting better at it. So I like to try new things sometimes. And new techniques. I still really suck with watercolor. I would like to improve on that, but I feel like I'd never have the time for that. That's something else that needs to dry sometimes in between layers, and then you can pick up color and stuff like that, so I don't know. I just think I want that white on the top for this. Mostly because I got out of the line. That's why. God, I almost could have had that red be for the rock lobster, but no, it's too late. It's too late. Oh, Lord. I've been talking about Bowie a lot and singing Bowie a lot in these videos. Well, not singing, but referencing Bowie. Bowie. David Bowie. Really amazing artist. Oh God, he does art too. Like, you ever notice how, like, some people just have all the talent? It's like they can paint, they can sing, they can dance. Well, I don't think he can dance so well. Maybe he can, I don't know. Maybe it's just Mick Jagger rubbing off on him, and that's why. Why am I trying to... What am I doing? Let's do this. Let's do music notes. I'm gonna have to do something. That's not a music note. What the heck is that? That is not a music note. I need, you know, the thing of it is this paint. This is why I add water and you're not supposed to. It's because it's so bloody thick. You guys might hear the gentle snoring of my dog, Julius. He is a Boston Terrier. And they are known for being very noisy. Everybody loves a Boston though. Like this, every time I go to like a vet, like he goes to probably 2 vets, but every time I've got someone saying everybody loves the Boston. They're such good-natured. Great with kids. I actually grew up with Shar Peis. Back in the 80s, they almost went extinct. They were Chinese fighting dogs. And there was this big... We didn't have a lot of money anyhow, but we were able to make a little bit of extra cash while also trying to save this this type of dog, this breed of dog. So we grew up with Shar Pei puppies. And people would send us photographs of how they were doing. And bringing it back to Star Trek, I named one of our male dogs Data. And we had another one that Mom had named Spock. Mom also let me name her favorite. Oh my god, this dog was so faithful. She lived for a very long time. She was one of our favorites, and her name was Ninja. I named her. Mom let me name her after the Ninja Turtles. Let's do a little bit of this. Fix that up a little bit. Oh, it's still, oops, still wet. But I was a big fan of the Ninja Turtles. I don't know what the heck's happened to them now. They're hideous. I mean, I guess they got creepier and creepier in the movies, but at least the first one, they didn't look quite so nightmare fuelish. Okay, I mean, I feel bad insulting any other artist, but who greenlit the way those turtles look? Somebody thought that was a good idea. I'm not blaming the artist or the people who made it. Somebody thought that they looked okay for those Michael Bay films, and I'm like, these are scary as hell. Oops, is that a cuss word? It's a proper noun, hell. So I think I can get away with that one. It's too big, great fun. I've got that song in my head now. Oh my god, I'm gonna have to listen to that. Not here though. Sorry folks, maybe I'll link it. I can't even remember which Bowie song that is. I mean, it's not the best, but it looks okay. It's okay for a rug that's going to be spray painted and with some kind of coating. Then I wanted to have some red. Not a lot. I picked the 3 primary colors for this. Again, because I wanted it to look a lot like that B-52's album cover. Oh my god, I've gotten paint everywhere. The Blue Bloods of New England area. We have lots of money and always have. That's what I think of when I think of Blue Bloods. I don't think of that. There's some TV show that had Tom Selleck or Burt Reynolds, somebody in it. I don't watch that show. I think of rich people when I think of the term Blue Bloods. Because that's what it originally was. I don't know where this... Changing things up. I'm too old for the change. One evil eye. don't know any other music notes. I'm sure as heck I'm not gonna do a treble clef on here. I can't do that whenever on the best of days. Let's do it. That's what this sound. That's the sound this squiggle makes. Partner's probably getting irritated. He has to have his headphones on while I'm recording. I feel kind of bad, but I don't want to disturb him when he's working. And he also wants to listen to music while he works. If it weren't copyrighted, I would not give a crap. But that's all I need is I'm a small channel anyway, no one watches hardly. I mean, we have a few people, we have 11 subscribers now, so I'm super thankful for that. But not enough people, I would hope, to turn me in, but at the same time, why chance it? Wait, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Yeah, that's it. Okay, I said something right. There. I think that looks okay. And maybe I'll... No, I'm not gonna mess with it. Whenever I get to painting, it's like I always overdo it. I never know when to stop. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna fix that music note though. That's terrible looking. Jeez. Got Snorlax in the chair over there. Sleeping with his eyes open. How do I fix this? How do I fix this? You just put enough paint on it. Okay, and what I'll do, I'm not going to do this on video because this video is long enough, but I'm going to go back and kind of fix up the yellow there a little bit once it's dried. But there we have it. Yeah, it's a lobster. So I will do this one, and I'll just have this at the end of the video, and then I'll have like a picture of this at the end of the video so you can see what those look like. I mean, you can kind of see it now, but it's wet. I don't want to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I'll paint the back of it, and I'll put like my Instagram and crap on it. But yeah, I already forgot. I already did the question of the week and Word of Wednesday, so I don't have to do that. I don't remember what the question of the week is. I'll put it at the top of the video. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this, for joining us this week, for joining me this week. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a little bit different, but it's still not Dark Horse related, but I do like to get out of my element a little bit. If you like the video, thumb it up, please subscribe, do the bell thing, and I want to thank you again for coming along on this journey. Fare you well, and keep on trucking.